Former TVC host and managing director of TVC Entertainment, Morayo Afolabi-Brown, has publicly acknowledged that her previous criticisms of former Anambra State Governor and prominent political figure, Peter Obi, were based on ignorance and a lack of adequate information. In statements made in August 2025, Morayo expressed regret over uninformed stance and admitted that her judgments stemmed from misinformation rather than a well-informed position on Obi's governance and political record. This admission arises amid heightened interest in Nigeria's political leadership and evolving dynamics as 2027 elections approach. Peter Obi has emerged as a critical political actor with significant support, especially from youth demographics and segments disenchanted with traditional leadership patterns. Morayo's revelation highlights the pitfalls of premature or uninformed political commentary by media figures, which can distort public discourse and voter perceptions. Morayo further disclosed personal challenges, including battle with depression, which have shaped her journey and contributed to periods of vulnerability in media representation. Her openness about these struggles adds a layer of authenticity to her admission and underscores the pressures faced by public commentators in navigating Nigeria's complex political and social landscape. All right, Mr. Due Process. Now, this is a story that has been trending since yesterday. Now, many people would see, especially in the obedient camp, would see this as a welcome development. But on the other side, do you think this is a genuine revelation made by Mrs. Morayo?
Yes, her revelation has come in the light of Deji Adeyanju repeated blackmail of the person of Mr. Peter Obi, who has not in any way done anything to justify such blackmail, such defamation of character that have often been targeted against Mr. Peter Obi. And Morayo seemed to, I expect that she should be in the know. She has all the educational background, she has the technology. As a presenter, one expects to have access to relevant information. I wonder how she justified that all she has done in the past were as a result of ignorance. That part I find it difficult to accept that explanation. And of course, some people are fingering that comments came after resignation from TVC. So, is it that as part of condition to work with the organization, she was coerced into making such inflammatory statements against the person of Mr. Peter Obi, or as part of conditions for keeping her job? Is it that now that she's out of the organization, TVC, that she's now coming on air to offend that she was ignorant of the realities of what transpired throughout the administration of Mr. Peter Obi as Anambra State governor. So this goes a long way to reveal a lot of things, that if this will actually come from a TV presenter on a national and a global TV like TVC, of course, what can we expect from the average people at the grassroots who have no the access to basic smartphone and the knowledge to be able to go into search for information? If this will happen to Morayo, it goes a long way to establish the decadence of information access to the people. It goes a long way to justify some of the social media warriors that have been employed by the sitting president and his allies to go on and on in dishing out misinformation to the public. Information is power. When you don't have access to information, you are bound to misfire. And Morayo and Co. have participated heavily in this circle, and they've gone a long way to tarnish image of opposition leader, Mr. Peter Obi, for such a long time, until this point before she's now admitted. It's good that she's able to admit, but then the damage has been done. So many people that were following up her stories previous time may not necessarily have access to these updates of her confession of not having proper knowledge of the activities, the successes, the policies that were put in place by Mr. Peter throughout his stay in government. And this is a call on the Nigerian state to please disembark from all forms of sponsoring of social media influencers, publish, go after opposition figures. We must not all have the same viewpoint on national issues. Of course, when there is a departure from the norm, it is expected that every human on normal ground should be able to come up and criticize. In short, in a civilized society, opposition figures like me, Mr. Peter Obi, should have been put under payroll to be paid for making relevant recommendations to the government, calling their attention to area of, mismanagement of state resources. They should have, they should be able to, thank him enough for all that he does in humanitarian. But as of today, the last time I checked, I've never seen any government releasing a press statement. We even appreciate these humanitarian services across the country. But to them, everything boils down to politics. They fail to see the human aspect of whatever it is that Mr. Peter has done, but all they do is they come on air and criticize him for one flimsy reason or the other because they've not been able to lay their hand on any justifiable reason to criticize him.
Right, but how do you think media professionals can balance personal vulnerabilities and public responsibilities, especially in a politically charged environment like Nigeria? Because there is this common phrase that the media or the press is the fourth estate of the realm. So whatever they say, people root for it, people believe it. So what do you think? How can media professionals balance personal vulnerabilities and public responsibility so that they don't uh, you know seen as being biased in some cases?
Yes, the media we have, the mainstream media in particular we have as of today, is nothing short of government mouthpiece, right? The actual work of media has been put aside to stand tooth and nail in defense of government actions and inactions. If you watch some of these interviews that are being conducted on this mainstream media, you begin to ask yourself, is it the same media personnel that you see in other TV stations in other countries like the UK, the US, the CNN, where you watch media having to stand for humanity and ask critical questions. But here, even when opposition figures are welcome to their studio, they stand in defense of whatever you are to say. They guard, the media space is being guarded heavily, such that there is no freedom of information, there is no freedom of speech, and it's not a good signal for Nigeria democracy. Democracy cannot strive when the media space is heavily guarded. There is no flow of information. Whatever, as of today, as a Nigerian, you have access to walk up to any ministry and demand for information. But that is not fully implemented. This policy was implemented was signed into law during Goodluck Jonathan. But it is not fully implemented because of this media uh, gathering by the sitting president. As a matter of fact, as of today, this policy is still in place that matters relating to insecurities are not to be publicized on media space. And you wonder why. When people are being ravaged in their community, the media have no free access to be able to speak about it. And because of the code of conduct that handed over to them by the media body is very unfortunate. And uh, I call on media, on-air media personalities to be able to stand their ground and stand for democracy and not stand for the person occupying the offices. They should stand for democracy and speak truth to power. And media personnel on-air personnel are known for speaking truth to power, not for polishing lies or painting any form of propaganda that have been handed over to them by the sitting president or sitting government.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Due Process. Now, what do you make of this, Mr. Ibrahim? What do you think about this revelation by Morayo?
All right. I think it's big for accountability in public commentary. We have freedom of speech in a democratic society, but once you start to use that freedom of speech to defame someone's character, then I think you don't have the right any longer. Most of these sentiments, as Mr. Due Process rightly highlighted, are not based on ignorance. They are based on biases, hearsays, maybe misinformation. So because we are highly emotional in Nigeria, it is very, very easy to fall into this pit hole set by politicians. She was not the first person, actually. The son of Nasru El-Rufai did the same. He said before he thought Peter Obi was a bad person, but now he realized the opposite. So the reality is we are in this era, we are so lazy. We wait for others to feed us with information. And more often than not, if you are not informed, you are deformed. So these people that holds the information control us. They hold the power. They tell us what is right and wrong, what to do and what not to do. So that's what the politicians have, and they control us. You see someone as you see him as intelligent because he has the formal certificate, but unfortunately, when you come close to him, you realize how gullible he is to fall for all these tricks by politicians. So I'm not completely condemning her, but at least now she should know that before you come out on air to disgrace yourself, know what you're talking about, because the deed have been done, and whatever you will do to whitewash it is not going to be whitewashed. You criticize him, you defame him, not even criticism, because constructive criticism is always welcome. But once you defame someone's character, there is no amount of detergent in the world you can use also to wash the damage you have done. So she already made the damage, and yes, we are not going to crucify her for that, most especially because she realized that she is at fault now. But accountability in public commentary should be something that we should consider now. If someone come to talk about someone, regardless of who that person is, if he passed misinformation against that person, he should be put to account by a code of law, not only by the people. And the people should strive to get the information for themselves. Let us stop staying within our cycle and allow politicians to be feeding us with information. And if you are the judge and at the same time the accused, definitely the rule is going to go on your favor. So the politicians, they will never tell you the good side of their opposition. They will always tell you the bad side of him. And more often than not, they are not even telling you the bad side of him. They are going to create a complete story to defame the person. So if the people like her are going to fall gullible of that cheap propaganda, then I think we have a lot to fix in Nigeria. And she should work hard on herself not to fall again on these cheap propagandas. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Mrs. Brown's candid confession signals an important professional and ethical reflection for Nigeria media practitioners. It draws attention to the necessity of thorough research, fact-checking, and unbiased analysis before publicizing opinions on public figures, especially those with profound potential impacts on national governance. Now, this moment offers an opportunity to reinforce journalistic integrity and the media's role in fostering informed civic participation. Additionally, the admission reflects broader challenges in Nigerian politics, where misinformation and entrenched biases often cloud objective assessments of leadership. Now, as political narratives increasingly influence electoral outcomes, responsible media engagement becomes, very essential and pivotal in shaping democratic outcomes and public trust. All right, this is where we draw the curtain on Morning Show on DDM TV today. We thank you all for your contribution and time, Mr. Due Process. Thanks for your contribution.
Thank you for having me.
All right, viewers, we shall meet again tomorrow for a new edition of this nice and wonderful show. But let me tell you this, if you love this show, do not hesitate to hit the like button, make your comments on the topics we discuss, and then share it massively for everyone to see. I am Tochukwu Raphael. See you tomorrow for a fresh edition. Bye-bye.